what advice would you give a high school kid that wants to get noticed by a Division I coach besides shooting 50% from three and jumping above the rim? As we've talked, the reality is the portal is what it is, and it's not going away. So the chances of going from high school to D1, it's getting slimmer and slimmer, but getting there eventually, right? As we've seen, like with Drake, Drake's 26-3 right now. They got 4 Division II starters and playing great. So, what advice would you give those kids, those high school kids that do have those D1 aspirations?
Yeah, and I'll go back to Drake there. Yeah, they have those 4 Division II starters that have played in the program an unlimited amount of minutes for the last 4 years. And going into, it doesn't matter. I mean, they could have went into the Mountain West here. They maybe not won the league, but they probably would have been the top half of the league because of the continuity. Like when we left Green Bay, we were trying to bring as many guys as we could from Green Bay over here. We just couldn't because we got a lot of guys that transferred from like Missouri Valley schools back to Green Bay that were from that area. They didn't want to leave again. But like part of it is playing. You got to go.
Brought to you by Net Results Recruiting. My name is Matt Bright, Regional Advisor for Net Results Recruiting. Joining me is our president from sunny Phoenix, Arizona, Steve Schaefer. What's going on, Coacher?
Matt, how are we doing tonight?
We're doing good. We got big time, big shots in the house tonight. Friends of the show, old hat for some of these guys, but a topic, it's March now, March Madness, the best time of year.
It is. It's an exciting time of year. Tournament time is is upon us here, and we want to get into this Division I recruiting tonight. We're going to get into every level. Every level's a little bit different, and what coaches are looking for, and what it takes to play at those levels. But we want to kick it off because it's March Madness, and that's what everybody is excited about. The Division I tournament. So we want to start with Division I recruiting tonight. We got 2 really awesome guests that I'm excited to introduce here, and they're 2 of my close friends. We've got Pat Monahan. He's currently the assistant men's basketball coach at Wyoming. And we also have Ryan Larson. He's an assistant women's basketball coach at the University of Utah. So Pat is entering his 19th year in college coaching. He's experienced at 3 different levels of college basketball. He played his college ball at D2 Lewis University in Illinois, where he led the Flyers in scoring his senior season. Prior to Lewis, he spent 2 years at Harper Junior College in Illinois and was named 3rd team NJCAA All-American in 2004. And I'm pretty sure, Pat, your eligibility is over. So those coaches that are listening don't get any ideas about trying to, recruit Coach Monahan. I think his eligibility is over. So after college, Pat began his college coaching career as a graduate assistant at Wayne State College. And from there, he worked as an assistant at Coffeyville Community College in Kansas for 2 seasons. After Coffeyville, Pat got his first Division I coaching opportunity at Loyola Chicago and spent 1 season there as their director of basketball operations before accepting a position at D2 Minnesota State University in Mankato, where he served as an assistant for 6 years. From MSU, Pat spent 2 seasons at UW-Milwaukee, then went on to become an assistant at Southern Illinois, where we spent 3 seasons on the sidelines for the Salukis. After SIU, Pat was hired at UW Green Bay and spent 1 season with the Phoenix and head coach Sundance Wicks and turned that program around. I think it was one of the biggest turnarounds in college basketball that season, and now followed Coach Wicks to Wyoming, where Pat is currently an assistant coach. Pat, welcome to the show.
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me. Appreciate you being on here again.
You bet. You bet.
Looking forward to it.
Awesome. And we also have Ryan Larson. Ryan and I go way back. Ryan is in his 23rd season of coaching. I don't even know if he knows that, but he's been in it a long time.
Yeah, I was interested in how many years it was. Yeah.
He's had experience at 3 different levels and has coached both on the men's and women's side. Ryan attended Minnesota State Moorhead from 99 to 2000, was part of a team that helped completely turn that program around in his time there. After MSU Moorhead, Coach Larson got his first coaching opportunity at Augustana University in South Dakota, where he was hired as an assistant coach on the men's side from 2002 to 2007. After Augie, Ryan made the jump to the women's side and was hired as an assistant women's basketball coach at the University of South Dakota, where he spent 5 seasons on staff. From USD, Coach Larson earned his first head coaching opportunity as the head coach at NAI South Dakota School of Mines, where he spent 6 seasons. From Mines, Ryan accepted an assistant coaching job at the University of Wyoming. where he was on staff for 6 years. He is now in his first season as the assistant coach at the University of Utah. Ryan, welcome to the show. Great to have you on.
Pleasure, guys. Thanks for having me on. Looking forward to it.
You bet.
All right, Pat. We'll start with Coach Monahan. Something that Coach Schaefer and I don't really miss. What's the most rewarding aspect of the recruiting process as a coach?
I think the biggest thing is still relationships, no matter how times have changed here over the last 3 to 4 years. It's still the relationship piece of it, with connection, if it's with their AU coach, their high school coach, their family, whoever is in their circle. Because at the end of the day, it's still relationships. So you're always circling back to that. And I believe you can never lose sight of that. And I think that's what continues to translate to success. And that's what we'll continue to hang our hat on here as we continue to move forward.
Coach Larson, same.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with Pat. I just recently had this conversation with a younger assistant on the staff I'm a part of now, and I think verbatim I said that, the one thing that will hold true, through the test of time of recruiting is building relationships. First and foremost with the recruit, and then, the circle after that. But yeah, as much as things has changed, I really believe that that's going to be the number one thing that's, still going to be a biggest part of recruiting.
That's great. That's great. Ryan, we're going to stay with you. When you were evaluating talent at Utah, at Wyoming, at South Dakota, all kind of different levels of women's basketball, at your level, when you're evaluating talent, how much weight do you put on intangibles like leadership and basketball IQ? How important is that when you're evaluating talent?
Yeah, it's huge. I'll admit, you miss, those are probably some things you miss on a bunch. Okay. If you could really cut someone open and, really figure out, man, the basketball IQ and leadership abilities. Yeah, again, just being totally honest, that's probably the stuff I've missed on the most, where you think, man, this kid's just going to be an absolute leader, butt kicker, continue to improve. That's hard to evaluate. But that doesn't mean you stop not looking for it either. Yeah, we're looking for that a bunch. That's been everywhere I've ever gone. It doesn't matter if it's, Division II, yeah, it doesn't matter, or what level of Division I. Those are the qualities that, really make a player really good, but then ultimately your team really good.
Yeah, no question. That's great. And for you, I mean, I know they're important things, but like, does the IQ piece change from D2 to D1, or is it kind of like, you're looking for it at every level, or is there a difference in what you need to know and what you need to be able to read and feel at the mid-major plus level compared to like maybe the D2 level? What are those things for you guys?
No, I mean, I think a lot of people are seeing it still right now obviously with the transfer portal, and you see all these kids having success that are moving up levels from D2 playing D1 or low major, they're high major and having success. It's because they're basketball players. And I think the reason for that is because their ability to see the game and have a feel for the game. And I think that's a skill, I think, that like Coach Larson said, a lot of people don't evaluate. Me personally, I value that always at a high level, because I've always recruited a kid. I'd rather always taken a kid who's had a feel or IQ rather than just an athlete. And being at different levels, you can really tell that IQ and feel translates to every level. And I mean, it translates to that's what leads to success in my judgment and stuff. But I think you find those skills in guys that come from winning programs that have won championships, and you see that and feel that by talking to other people within their program, if they're assistant coaches, or head coaches, or even other players, to see how they lead. And as an assistant, you try to get that going to see practices and stuff. I value going to see a practice sometimes rather than just going to see a game. So, yeah.
So Pat, you kind of alluded to like the IQ, how important that is to you. Are there any other attributes that you really pride yourself in looking for, or they get overlooked by other coaches that you feel you guys value more than maybe other staffs?
Yeah, I mean, like Coach Wicks, he talks about it all the time. They call it fits, right? Feel, intelligent, toughness, and skill. Your skill, I mean, if you're skilled, if you can shoot the ball at a high level, you can pass the ball at a high level. If you're tough, your competitiveness is something that you carry and is a trait of yours. I really believe those attributes is what we really look for. I mean, there's a lot of things that do translate. Like rebounding translates at whatever level it is. Shooting translates to whatever level it is. And that's where we talk about all the time. We feel like skill, your ability to think the game and process the game and see the game, it translates to any level and stuff. So and that's why over time here, over the last 3 to 4 years, you've really seen the success of lower level guys translating right away to higher levels, in my opinion.
Coach Larson, like what? Same question. Like, what are you guys? Your secret sauce.
Yeah, just not trying to piggyback off of what Pat's saying the entire time, but I've never been one that just ranks. We got to have this, you got to have this, you got to have this, you got to have this. In a certain player. I know there's coaches and programs that really do that, but the more and more longer I'm in this, the one thing that kind of resonates with me more in evaluating a player is toughness, and there's just so much more involved in that anymore. I think tough kids you can coach. Not that we want to yell and scream or anything like that, but it's being held accountable. All right, if you're tough, you can be held accountable. And I can just go on and on and on about the word toughness, but that it translates to that obviously translates to how they play too, their style of play, and that toughness factor usually got a pretty good physical kid too, and you're starting to see that a lot more in women's basketball, is the term physicality. You got to have it both offensively and defensively, and so that's just one thing that's dawned on me, in my personal thoughts over the last few years, especially now that I've gone up another level, at Division I. You better have some tough kids, that aren't afraid of physicality, and so that's one thing I just keep an eye on a lot more when evaluating.
And I want to stay on that real quick, Ryan, with you, because I think our players, those kids that are out there that are playing high school basketball or JUCO basketball or whatever, trying to get to the Division I level or whatever level for that matter, they don't know what toughness is when it comes to basketball. So if you wouldn't mind, can you define what toughness means to you and your program and to our audience, and how you assess that when you're evaluating players?
Yeah.
When you're on the road.
Again, there's so many different layers to it, but the place I really like to start with toughness, when talking about it with recruits or players on your own team or whatever. But I think so many people get that the word toughness mixed up with just throwing elbows, being physical. That's not it. That's a very small piece of it. Really, the first level of toughness for me, when I talk about it, is, are you tough enough to do the right thing every single time? 'Cause that's really hard to do. Offensively, defensively, it's easy to take shortcuts. Not playing hard, stuff like that. That's really where I start with as far as defining toughness when coaching a player. And I think that's a good place to start when talking about that with players. Yeah, we talked about in the scouting report going over a screen on this player. Well, you took a shortcut in the easy way going under. Your ass just gave up a 3. That's not very tough. That's not tough, that type of stuff. And so, I don't want to go down a rabbit hole with that, Steve, if that's okay. But, that's really where I like to start when I explain toughness to, again, anybody I'm, really ask me that question.
And Pat, I mean, you've coached hundreds of Division I games. I mean, you've coached in several programs at, different Division I levels. How do you guys define toughness, and how do you evaluate that when you're looking at players?
Yeah, I mean, I define it as guys' daily routines, because especially within the process, it's hard to be consistent. And you talk about the day-to-day and the process of it, and if you live it, you're going to have a daily routine of your work. And like Larson was saying, like fighting through screens, being cut, like if you have an accountability to yourself on a day-to-day of how you hang your hat and how you work on a day-to-day, like what we teach you is what you're going to want to learn and want to continue to grow and develop. It's not something where you're going to want to take shortcuts and stuff. So for me, I look at it as when I recruit guys and talk to guys and stuff, I ask them what the routines are. And like, I love every high school kid that I've recruited that has a daily routine. If it's early in the morning, if it's at night, whatever it is, the consistency of the routine, I would say 70% of them have had successful college careers. And that's what I've kind of always gone back to, is just the day-to-day, more so mental toughness than the physical toughness, because it's a grind. I mean, we were coming into Fresno here today, and I was just dawning back on, and we were in Salt Lake, I think December 14th, to play BYU, and I'm like, holy, like that was this year. I forgot Larson even worked at Wyoming this past year.
Yeah.
But so it's the day-to-day process and day-to-day routines that I look for within recruits, that really define who they are, because it's sticking to it consistently. That's the biggest thing that I try to look for within guys.
I love those two answers, and we'll check how good of an editor I am, because putting those together, Larson, like what you said, doing the right thing every single time. And Pat, to your point about like having a routine, no one's going to check you on that routine. No one's going to check you on doing those things. Those are self-taught and self-inflicted, and that you have to do that. So that was great. So now we're going to go to the most talked about thing in college athletics, college basketball, the portal. So, Coach Larson, we'll start with you. How has it impacted what you guys are doing at Utah?
Talked about Utah a little bit, but honestly, I'm just such a small sample size here. I haven't gone through a recruiting season in the portal at Utah, but from my what I have understood in years past, pretty similar to other places I've been, where haven't had a whole lot of turnover, people leaving our team, and if they have, that's where they've looked to replace them out of the portal. Here at Utah, again, similar where I've been before, Wyoming, South Dakota Mines, South Dakota, wherever. We're going to recruit high school first. That's kind of our first and foremost. That we want to build within the program. Get young and get old, all right, kind of what they say. But if someone leaves, yeah, we're definitely going to the portal to replace that person. Without getting too far ahead of myself, I think probably we'll probably look to use the portal a little bit more with revenue sharing, okay, because we'll have some pretty good money to throw around here, to some players, to get another caliber player. I'm a fan of the portal. I really am, because if you look, some players that have left the programs I've been a part of to go down a level. I watch those kids, and they're having a tremendous experience. Okay. And I think that's really what the portal's about. Go find a place where you can go play and be successful. Okay. And that brings me great joy because of that. But when there gets to be a whole lot of hopping going around, unfortunately we see a lot of programs, I think that's just, I don't know how good that is for the game anymore. I really don't. But I think it's just, been in this 23 years. I'm trying not to be stubborn, get stuck in my ways. And the more I think about it and the more to come to terms with it, with another layer, that I just kind of mentioned, revenue sharing, I think it's going to become even more important, to get my mind around that. Yeah, it's something we're going to have to do a whole lot more of, to get a better player so that we can keep going, to the NCAA tournament. And I don't know if I really answered your question there, Matt. I went off the deep end there a little bit, but part of it is, again, I just haven't been here at Utah to really give you a good answer to that yet. And at Wyoming, I think it was 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, we were one of 3 programs that didn't have anybody leave. All right, go into the portal. And so I just, at Wyoming, we were able to recruit freshman of the year out of the portal, which was a huge get for us. Had a kid grad transfer that helped us, win the Mountain West tournament 1 year. But after that, I wouldn't say, I wouldn't say that we were really killing it out of there, out of the portal. But that's probably more specific to Wyoming than where I'm at right now. So yeah.
Okay. No, great. Thank you for that. And
Yeah.
Pat, we talked about you had 1 year at Milwaukee, you're at Carbondale for 3 and now here for 1. So I know you haven't gone through it yet at Wyoming, but your experience with it, kind of going through this shift.
Yeah. I mean, we, as a staff, we talk about it a lot. Like it's basically building, you're trying to build the best team that you can build. Like you're going to have your program, you're going to have your identity, and what you want to focus and teach on a day-to-day amongst your team. But like, you're trying to build a team that you're trying to get the best team you can get for that specific year of how it works. Because I mean, I haven't been at a high major where we have $5 million to spend on a roster. Even at Wyoming, I mean, we'll be okay, but we won't be top of the Mount West for sure. So what we value has to be what we value. And it's like, if you're at a high major and, for instance, Larson's got $1 million, well, to spend on a player, but probably South Carolina does too. But however, like probably the recruit's probably going to go to South Carolina. I'm just guessing, Lars, over Utah.
That's an educated guess. Really
Right.
Good guess.
Right. But like if he's recruiting against Colorado State, but Colorado, like, he values something more at a higher level than what Colorado State, he's going to pay a little bit more for what he values and what they value. And that's what we try to do. So with the revenue sharing, but to me, I've always thought on your roster, like your roster 6 through 13 has to be guys that what they're going to be about every single day. Not what their projection is, not what because projection, potential, that usually gets you fired. Because it's a long season. At the end of the day, you look down at that bench and you got 3-4 guys on those 6 through 13 spots. A few of them aren't playing. Well, now your bench isn't very deep, or one of those guys might not be good enough for the level that you're at. So, like, you can't miss. Like, you're going to miss on a few guys in the portal. That's why it always goes back to your middle to bottom half of your roster and what they are. I think so many guys. And that's why you look at a lot of the high majors, a lot of those guys just collect talent. And you know what? Whoever's the top 7 guys are going to play. And I think sometimes, like, Eric Musselman I think he's been the best at that. Like, he just collects a talented amount of scores, a collection of scores throughout college basketball, low major, mid major. And it's just a collection of guys that have averaged 14, 20 points a game at whatever level it is. And okay, let's deal it out. Let's see how it is. Whereas everybody obviously is not going to be able to do that because you're not at that level. But like, I really believe it goes back to the value of what you value, is how you build your roster year by year. And with the new roster spots, and with having 15 roster spots only, and that's include walk-ons and stuff, if you want to have a walk-on, or but obviously most schools are going to have 15 scholarships now at the Division I level. And but I still think you got to recruit guys that you value, and only we know what our value is to those guys and what we value of them.
I want to circle back to one question that I think our audience, our players, and I just think high school kids in general need to hear from a Division I coach. Then I have a question. I'll do a second question about the portal. But we have kids that I talk to. You know, my son or my daughter's an elite shooter, and she can shoot it just as well as those kids that I'm watching on ESPN Plus. You know, or you know, it's something to that nature, right? Like, you know, he or she's got a Division I skill set, and they're not wrong. But that kid is 6'2", 165 pounds and plays below the rim, or that girl is 5'6" and doesn't have a quick twitch muscle, but she can really shoot it. You know, so my question, I'll go to you, Pat. How much does size and athleticism play a part in being able to play Division I basketball?
Oh, I think it's a big piece to it, especially the higher levels that you go up. And I think the misconception of what people think, and I've always gone back to this, is like, you really don't know what level a kid can play at, in my opinion, unless you've really studied that level or that league, because every league is different. Every league has different styles of play. Every division, I mean, there's different levels of Division I, and I mean, there's guys that are really good players that just might not be successful maybe in the Mountain West. There's guys that are in the Mountain West, might transfer down in the Missouri Valley and won't be successful. So I think a lot of people get a misconception of that, where the study of the leagues. I mean, I've been in the Horizon, the Mountain West, and the Missouri Valley. And the Mountain West and Missouri Valley are two totally different leagues. They're two really good leagues, but two totally different leagues as far as style of plays and the coaching and stuff. So it's the athleticism. So I think sometimes the misconception of, oh yeah, like he could play Division I. Well, yeah, he could play Division I, but there's so many different levels and styles of play to each and every league.
Don't you think, like, if you're a high school kid at 6'3", 160, and you're a great shooter, I mean, I don't think they comprehend that there are 24-year-old men playing Division I basketball that might have 40 pounds on you, and you've got to be able to stay in front of that guy. Right?
For sure.
I don't think they realize that stuff. And so I think, not that they're not going to get bigger and stronger, but they can go in the portal and find a kid that shoots just as well, that is 20 pounds heavier. Would you agree with that?
For sure. Absolutely. And I think the best thing is, and I think I mentioned this and talked to you about this before too, Steve, is if I was in your shoes, or if I was an AAU coach, like, and I had a couple guys I was trying to represent, or even if I was an agent trying to really help recruits get to the Division I level or whatever, I would really focus on new coaches that have just taken over programs, because they're always looking for those guys will probably be the guys that take chances on some guys, and they'll probably fill their rosters with a high school kid or two, especially if you got to sign 7, 8, 9 guys within the portal. And I think everybody's roster is different. Every program looks for different and values different players and what they can do. But the first thing I would do is really look at coaches that have really taken over programs and stuff.
Yeah. And Lars, I know we've talked about this, you know, when we've talked about other kids that, you know, that you've recruited that we've worked with, but size and speed matter at the girls' level. I mean, am I
Well, you're 100% right. You know, and it's just, let's face it, it's God-given ability, you know. I was a 6-foot white guy, fairly unathletic, and I was a walk-on in the NAIA program. You know, Pat Monahan was just more God-given ability. You know, that's
Not
what
much.
it is. Better, yeah, a lot more. Okay, same as Steve Schaefer, just God-given ability. Okay, and that's for a lot of people to accept. You know, it is. Not just the player, but probably more so the parents at times, because you know that's their kid and they love them and God bless them. But it's and I brought up a really interesting point. That we're kind of living here at Utah right now, where this Utah team was constructed to play in the Pac-12. Okay, and a little more skill, a little more shooting. All right. Now in the Big 12, oh shit, man, it's a lot more physical. Okay, heck of a lot more athletic, and it's. I specifically remember about our first 2 weeks in Big 12 play. Every single one of our players and the coaches that were here, before me, that Pac-12 to Big 12, they're like, the physicality is just, it's incredible how much more physical it is in the Big 12 and athletic and faster. And, Pat brings up a great point. Mountain West, in the Missouri Valley, both really good basketball, but it's different. Okay. And, we're already looking at that. We're going to have to, switch up a little bit more of how we're recruiting. And back to your original question, Steve. Yeah, we're going to have to get, probably an inch or two bigger at certain spots. All right. And, a few pounds heavier and stronger at spots to, finish sixth this year, which is nice. Okay. But for us to creep up there, it's an inch bigger and a few more pounds heavier at spots to get where we want to go.
Yeah. And you basketball players, are you grinding in the gym but struggling to get noticed by college coaches? Your talent deserves the right exposure, and that's where Net Results Recruiting comes in. Whether you're in high school, junior college, or prep school, we help you connect with college programs, get you promoted to college coaches, and receive expert guidance throughout your recruitment journey. Don't leave your future to chance. Get exposure, get guidance, get results. Let our team find your team. Visit netresultsrecruiting.com today and take the next step towards your college basketball dream.